Let me tell you what my job is. And it's also your job. My job and your job is to connect people to grace. It is good to see everyone today. A couple things. I want you to pray for the worship team because they will have to listen to the sermon for a second time. But I'm grateful for all their help. It is so good this morning to see everyone. I know I saw people outside the last couple weeks, but after about, 12 weeks, 11 weeks, whatever it was, I'm used to looking at people here and here and here, and then the last couple weeks, the worship team, and they'd be scattered, and I would want to turn my head and look at them, and then Monday, Alex would come in and say, "You have got to look at the camera." And we went that over and over and over again about looking at the camera and trying to develop new habits. And he got more boisterous and more boisterous as the weeks went by, until I said, "The unemployment line's really short over there, Alex. You need to," I didn't say that. I thought about it, but I didn't say that. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank the worship team over the past 11 weeks for being here and being in it, singing to an empty room. And I want to thank Alex for all the extra stuff he's been doing in the last few weeks. I want to thank Sharon Harrington. She was at the early service. She was here with her crew yesterday planting flowers out front. And want to thank all of them. Thank those of you who are still joining us. Here's what we're going to do different these next few weeks. So we have 2 services. We're going to keep doing that. We're not passing the offering plate, but we do have a box in the back. And if you brought your offering, please drop it in there to be sure that that gets done. In future weeks, we start next week with our summer sermon series entitled Hooray for Hollywood. Some of you remember we did one of these about 12 or 13 years ago. And so what you're going to start seeing early in the week, tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to email a movie clip. And all I ask is that you view that movie. If you're watching us online and you're watching from another state and you would also like to know what movie clip, just email me or put in the comments below your email address. I'll send you the movie clip. If you would rather send me an email, it's doug@mundalinenaz.com. I will send you a link so that you can watch the movie clip. If you don't know what it is, if you go out in the Welcome Center, look up on the wall, I have next week's movie and a big movie poster. It's Rocky Balboa, and the movie clip is It Ain't How Hard You Hit. And the Hoosiers are on the other side. Now that's 3 weeks from now, because I was surprised. I found out I didn't have my week 2 poster. So that's been ordered. So 2 weeks from today is going to be the movie Castaway. And some of you familiar. And then the week after that, the movie is Hoosiers. And I don't care what you say, that's the best sports movie ever. Hoosiers. And as I said earlier, you can go to Knightstown, Indiana, and you can go into that gym they used to film the movie, and you can rent the whole thing for $25 for an hour. And you can sit on the floor, you can shoot free throws, or have a basketball practice, but you can rent that gym for $25 an hour. Here's one other thing, and some of you know this. On my sermon schedule for the year, today was blank. And it was blank because today we were, at least some of us, were going to have a worship service in the old city of Jerusalem. And that's where we were supposed to be. About 32 of us were planning to be in Jerusalem today. Now, when I say right now, realize that in Jerusalem, right now was 8 hours ago. But we were going to have our worship service there. And however, a virus conspired against us. To those who are going, I'm sorry. Trust me, I am sorry. It is great to be here, but there's a part of me that would love to be in the old city of Jerusalem this morning. Would absolutely have loved it. And I would love to be there now. In a few months, maybe, we'll have a discussion about maybe planning this trip again, take the temperature, see who might be interested. If you signed up the first time, you already got your first $100 paid for. So because of that trip, I'm starting my Hollywood series next week. I just didn't want to move everything up. I wanted to put the movie posters up and get ready that way. So today was a directionless Sunday. And so I thought it'd be a great day to just remind ourselves of who we are, of who we represent, and what stands for true north on our compass. Plus, there are some events this week that kind of led me here. I'm going to be reading out of Matthew chapter 11. This is amongst the most well-known passages that Jesus ever spoke. You hear them all the time. So if you turn to Matthew chapter 11, starting with verse 28, I'll be reading out of the NIV, just probably out of habit. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. This is one of those verses that when I start reading it, I immediately want to switch over to the King James, because this is one of the ones I learned when I was a kid. Come to me, all ye who are weary and heavy laden. That word always goes through my head. If you ever ask me to quote Scripture, I'm very dangerous, because I'm liable to give you it either in the King James or the NIV or a mishmash between the two because of when all that kind of changed, and it would be this odd mixture of everything. So forgive me for those kind of things. I really want to center in on 3 words this morning. 3 words. It's Jesus describes himself in this Christian life. The first word is, we find in verse 29, for I am gentle. We are so trained by what we see. We have this way of looking at things. We're trained by our culture. We are used to go way back to Gary Cooper in the movies, and then John Wayne, and now it's either Denzel Washington or Liam Neeson, and that's this lone figure that says, I have a particular set of skills. And he comes into the situation and he makes everything right and kills the bad guys and makes everything good. And he matches the violence that started the problem with the commensurate level of violence until everything is good again. And so we're trained to meet power with power, force with force. We seek often to control a situation or assert our rights into a situation. And you know when it happens. There's that person at the store who says something really inappropriate or just snaps at someone, and you feel the hair on the back of your neck stand up, and you want to just jump on that person. Not physically, verbally jump into the situation. Look at the news, especially now. There's not much gentle that's left anywhere. I saw this morning, or last night, the current state of the Lincoln Memorial. There's not much gentle left. I felt the hair on the back of my neck go up. Look at the conversations we're having. There's not much gentle left. So you decide, I'm going to jump into a conversation and I'm going to be peaceful in the middle. Well, if you jump in on one side, you're a terrible hate monger. You jump in on the other one, you just want chaos. You jump in the middle, you're going to be roadkill right now from both directions. Look at conversations in stores. If you wear a mask, people sneer at you. If you don't wear a mask, people sneer at you. We've all reverted to our positions. First of all, commercial. While we're at church, If you want to wear your mask, wear your mask. Please. If you don't want to get near people, you have full freedom to say, everybody back off. I want to have 8 feet bubble around me. We're going to respect it. We'll love you from a distance. We're going to just love everybody here. Look at the Mundelein Moms Facebook page. There's no gentle left. Crazy has taken over everything. And I think we have to admit, life has rarely been gentle. In older times, there were prairie fires, floods, tornadoes, economic collapses, polio, cholera, diphtheria, and marauders from the next village over. Look at today. Almost the same thing. There are floods, recessions, pandemics, politicians from the next village over. But you know who else was not gentle in the first century when this was written? Rome. Rome was never gentle. Rome said, you're going to do things our way. Oh, Rome said they were all about peace, and they would enforce peace. They would erect a cross in public places, and if you went against their government, they would stick you on that cross and say, you go against us, we'll put you in your place, and we'll have everybody know who's in charge here, and it's us. Rome was never, never gentle. Guess who else was not gentle in the first century? God. If you were a Jewish person, God was that person who created the world, who then devastated it with a flood and was ready to do it again. Was the person who took the people out of their land, forced them into exile, and if we weren't faithful, it would happen all over again. And now Rome is in control, and you know what they were praying for? They were praying for that harsh God to show up again and meet Rome's power with even more power. And have the Messiah come, and the Messiah to be a military leader, even more powerful, that would get rid of Rome. They wanted a power to rout the Romans. They wanted a power greater than the power over them right now. Now, here's where I got to give you some bad news. You've seen a lot of memes, I'm sure. And you know, 20 years ago when I was preaching, I never thought I'd say a word. You've seen memes this week, but it's all part of our language now. And a common meme is something like, can we skip to 2021? Or can we start 2020 all over again? Or how many days is in 2020? Aren't we in day 2,834? You've seen something along those lines. If things couldn't get bad enough, are you ready? We're still in an election year. And in a month, the political conventions start. Good time to unplug the TV. I just know right now, and I don't know who's first. I think the Democrats are first because Republicans in office. I'm not sure about that. But I know that the Democrats are going to talk about all the evil that's over there, and you got to get our guy in to assert power over that evil guy and those evil people over there. And then the Republican convention will come and talk about, we got to keep our guy in to protect you from that evil guy over there. You got to have power over those people. And see, then you watch the news and they go, oh, we're hopelessly divided. We need a leader. They'll bring us together. News hint, no leader's going to bring us together. Our leaders are our reflections, not our shapers. It is a divided people that are electing these people who express those divisions. And we just want power over them. I don't care who we are in this world right now, we want power over them. We still live in that world. A world where we want to gain power, and I understand it. But as long as we live in that world, that desire is going to be our undoing. And we forget here that Jesus is God. And when Jesus steps in and says, by the way, I am gentle, he's upending and overturning their ideas of what God looks like. Jesus doesn't stop with I am gentle. He says, I'm also humble. Think about that for a second. This is God talking. I am humble. The call to follow Christ is a call to humility. Not a false humility with verbal tricks, but a real life that does not seek our own gain and is not trying to use other people. See, we live in a world where no one lays aside anything. We live in a world where we are convinced and we know what our rights are, and we will assert our rights. Now, let me just stop right here and just do a commercial. I have to come clean for honesty's sake. I have a default position in life with a lot of things. My default position when I look at people in authority, my default position is where are the muskets, where are the pitchforks, and where's my tri-corner hat? There's got to be a state house that needs to be charged somewhere. That's kind of always been my default position. And has been since I started voting at age 12. How, Pastor? You can't vote at age 12. You have to be 18 to vote. But if your mom is a registered voter and knows nothing about the political process and would let me in the booth with her, I started voting at age 12. I'm one of those weird people like that, where we want to assert all our rights, and we're quick, and I get it. Only to say that at the same time, and I'm not putting down any political rights. I think rights are important in a world where government has really overrun a lot of people. Take a look at the last century, by the way. But Christ does not seek to rule. Christ does not seek to assert his rights. Christ seeks to come alongside. In fact, the very name of the Holy Spirit in Greek is paraclete. Para, alongside, cleat, one who is called. It just literally means one who is called to walk beside us. Here's the good news. In a world that strives after power and wealth and position and status, and everybody does, God values the qualities of gentleness and humility above all else. Earlier in Matthew, Jesus said it better. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are those who are poor in spirit. Blessed are those who are meek. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst, not for more, but for righteousness, for they'll be filled. We live in a world that tells you greatness is determined by a resume or a savings account. In God's economy, greatness is not determined by achievement or wealth, but by serving. Let me stop again. I am not denigrating or diminishing anybody who has done a good job in being smart with money and saving. I want to applaud that. I've said this before. I would love it if every single person in here, through their wisdom and through their savings and investing and their work, if everybody in here became millionaires. I would love it. Because then we want to have a conversation as a church about what we're going to do with the extra. Think about the impact we could make. Think about the ways we could serve people. There are sometimes churches have treated people who have saved and have gained a good job and gained wealth, treated them like they're should be on a wanted poster. That's not right. But the qualities that determine greatness in God's economy is not that number, but what you do with the gifts you've been given. So we have these words. Jesus saying, I am gentle and I am humble. And there's nothing about our world that's either of those two things. We also have Philippians chapter 2. Jesus, though he was God, did not cling to his rights, did not forcibly retain his natural rights as God, but laid aside his mighty power and taking the form of a servant, became obedient unto death, even death on a cross. Therefore God gave him the names above every name. At the name of Jesus, every knee shall bow in heaven and earth and under the earth, and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. And our first response is normally to forcibly hang on to everything. But there's one more word here, and that word is rest. Are you tired? I am. I'm not talking about a physical tired. I'm not talking about sitting in a hammock and doing nothing. That's a thing now. Hammocks are now a thing. You go to college, and I spend, at least a day a week at a college, and anytime there's a tree that's in close proximity, some kids have a hammock and they strap it on there, and there's one laying in there. That's fine. When I talk about tired, I'm not talking about physically tired. I struggle in life when I don't have a lot to do at the same time. I like having plates in the air. I like juggling things. I like having deadlines. I'm tired of seeing the same things over and over and over again. I'm tired of some event happening that's bad enough in its own right. When the option was given, what a chance to come together. We use people and use events to advance ourselves and our cause. We use tragedies to gain more power instead of mourning and lamenting over the evil. We have to do more evil to advance ourselves. Using people to gain status, using events to gain power. I'm tired of seeing pain run deep. I was legitimately Friday morning, I was shaken more than I've been in a while. The last 2 Sundays outside, we had a guest. Maybe you met him. His name was Don. He came with someone, and he was so kind and upbeat. And he said something to me last week that caught me off guard. And I wanted to ask him about it. He said to me, he came up and he said, I want you to know I've been watching online the previous month or two, and he was here the last 2 Sundays out in the parking lot. And he said the following thing. He said, I want you to know this church has changed my life. That's what he said. And I made a mental note. I wonder what he's talking about. So today, I was going to find him. And I was going to make a time to take him to lunch this week and talk to him. And I got a call Friday morning at 9 o'clock that this gentleman took his own life. They don't know, Wednesday or Thursday. And it shook me. Then I started kicking myself. I should have met him this week. And I said, was there any I didn't know he was in danger. And the person knows that no, none of us did. I'm tired of people feeling pain that deep. I'm tired of a world where pain exists. I'm tired of a world where people have to deal with things. I'm tired of somehow that divide being between some people being able to express the pain, us being able to feel the pain and knowing what's going on. I'm tired. I'm tired of the cycle of violence. Think about where we were just 5 months ago. It was January. Remember January? It wasn't that cold. They were talking about record high employment, record low unemployment. I heard terms like, this is the Goldilocks economy. It's not too hot, not too cold, it's just right. You could buy a house, interest rates are low. Well, that's lower still today. But anyway, all this stuff happening. And they go, wow, this is perfect. This is really good. And 4 months later, who dropped the bomb in the middle of this? This word rest, it's rest that made the Sabbath day holy. Rest is important. Rest is vital. Book of Hebrews says there is a Sabbath rest available to the people of God that's just kind of a hint, a foreshadowing of what could be. When I talk about rest, I'm not just talking about more sleep. Rest does not mean sleep, really. Rest means not struggling. Rest means not searching through life for your value. Rest means not having to wear the right clothes or have the right look so you can somehow have value assigned. Rest means knowing that your value is granted by your Creator. And there's nothing that a world can do to take it away. Rest means not having to perform to a standard in order to be good enough to somehow qualify for eternal life. Rest means realizing that we are all creatures and beneficiaries of grace. Rest means knowing that we are changed not by the effectiveness of our own discipline, and I'm not putting down discipline. But we are changed by the presence of God's Spirit within us. Rest means knowing that my life is safe in God's grace. Rest means having a certain detachment from the cares of this world. Earlier in the week, we're supposed to be in Israel, and that fell through, and it'd been a real busy 5 or 6 months. And so about a month ago, I told Michelle, I said, all right, since we're not going to Israel, I said, just for a couple days, that first week of June, we're going to go someplace, just for 3 days. And I said, you can pick the place. And we had, within a day's drive. So we took off for the UP Monday morning, early. I wanted to go sit in a waterfall. No, Pastor, you mean you wanted to go watch a waterfall? No, that's not what I said. I don't like to look at a waterfall. I like to become one with the waterfall. So I crawl out in there till there's a rock, and I can just stick my legs in. And Michelle took a picture, so, it's true. And she found a rock to stretch out on, and there was nobody there. I don't even think the normal residents of the UP were there. We were in this waterfall just by ourselves for an hour. And it was just peaceful. It was about 73 degrees, just a puff of a breeze. My feet were in the water. There were 2 waterfalls. The first waterfall, I'd have lost a leg if I'd have had it in there for 45 minutes because hypothermia would have froze. But the other one was warm. And it was good to just kind of rest. Rest means not having the deadlines. Rest means knowing that even decay and degradation that this world brings is not our eternal destination. So this was going to be the week I was going to take this hopefully new friend to lunch, and the news hit me hard. And I just want to remind everybody today that we serve one who says his burden is easy and light. I don't know much about the world, but what I can tell you that is the world's burden is not easy, nor is it light. It will take every ounce of your soul. Sometimes when I meet people and they ask what I do for a living, and depends on the situation, and I might tell them I pastor church, depends on the situation, because sometimes I say that, they start acting weird, and I don't like that at all. But I tell them, and they go, oh, that's nice. You have a job where you help people. And I don't argue with them, but can I tell you something? That is not my job. It just isn't. Let me tell you what my job is. And it's also your job. My job and your job is to connect people to grace. Our job is to point the way to the one who provides grace. Our job is to be Jesus' hands and feet. So, might it help people? Sure. It might help people, but the goal's not that. The goal is to connect people to grace. And our job is to bring them to grace. Never, ever forget it. Because his burden is easy and light. And the world is not easy, nor is it light. And we need to help make it so.